Welcome to Bet the Edge. It's Thursday, December 1st. We are finally approaching Christmas season, everyone. Thanks, everyone, for watching live on our NBC Sports YouTube channel. Thank you, everyone, for listening also on the podcast version. Today, Conference Championship Week is here. Drew and Vaughn, we're on a first-name basis here, dig into the impact of Utah, USC, Friday night, Kansas State, TCU, my most hated team, as they try and get the championship picture. But we're going to wrap up the show with Thursday Night Football, Bills, Pats. We see the total moving, Drew. All that more coming up on Bet the Edge. But we also have a very, very special guest, my guy, Eric Froton. He's going to join us to break down college football, the most profitable college football capper by far at NBC, and probably in the whole player prop community in this world, I'd have to say. But, Eric, how we doing today, my guy?
I'm doing well. Excited for Conference Championship Week. As always, we got plenty of plays that I'd like to kind of go over and potentially offer some value on for our listeners.
Sounds good to me. As we know, we got Utah and USC. Drew and I were chirping at this one a little bit before. We got 2.5. USC's laying the favorite. They lost to Utah earlier this season, 43-42. It was a barn burner. Now we see the total sitting at 67.5, 68 at some shops. I kind of like the under, even though there's great offenses, great quarterback play here. What are you looking at, Eric?
Well, I could see why you'd like the under. Obviously, anytime you get an 85-point explosion out of the first game, there will typically be an adjustment or two made. But, there are some factors also health-wise. We saw Cameron Rising against Oregon really have a hard time. That was not the Cam Rising we saw who, took the top off of that USC defense in their first meeting. He threw 3 interceptions, was clearly banged up, and did not look himself. That was only 2 games ago. So are we going to get the original USC Utah Cam Rising? Are we going to get the Oregon Cam Rising? So these two teams combined for 1,118 total yards last game.
Wow.
And they only committed 1 turnover. So, this was just a true offensive shootout. And that's a little strange for USC because they actually lead the nation with 22 interceptions. So this is a turnover-oriented team who will give up yardage. Where they didn't give up yards, either team in the last game, interestingly, was on the ground. Travis Dye, who is now injured, we'll be seeing Austin Jones, just barely cleared 80 yards. We saw the tandem of Tavion Thomas and Micah Bernard combined for 65. So this was a real true aerial shootout this last game. In terms of what I kind of see happening here and, what I think could carry over, both quarterbacks last game did a lot of damage on the ground. Caleb Williams, 57 yards. Cam Rising, 60 yards. 3 touchdowns rushing. Obviously, he had the dramatic 2-point conversion to win the game at the end of regulation as well. So the lines currently for each of them are in that 30 range. I believe it's 33.5 on DraftKings for Caleb Williams. It's right at that 28.5 mark on DraftKings for Rising, and I think at least Caleb Williams, I really like his 33.5. Rising, I give a little pause due to his injuries. A particular other player that I really like, if you can get it on the non-domestic market, Dalton Kincaid, tight end for Utah. Last game had over 200 yards receiving, had 16 receptions. He was listed open at 5.5. He's at 6 now. I think he's going to be targeted early, often. I really like that over in particular for Caleb. And I think that for Dalton Kincaid, I do think USC covers here. I am going to go with the money line because it was a 1-point game last time. Yeah. This could be very competitive, but I'm going with the over after the 85-point explosion. I do think it will go over, and I am backing USC on the money line in addition to those props I mentioned.
This is interesting current market dynamics as we are recording this live. We're seeing the 3s disappear. This is moving down to 2.5. And I'll tell you, that is extremely surprising. 2 of the bigger groups that I know are both at on USC here at 3. So somebody with enormous market respect is betting Utah right now. I don't know if this is a dummy move and they're going to come back and take USC closer to close, but that is pretty surprising here. All your points make total sense to me. Caleb Williams looks to have the Heisman sewn up regardless of this outcome, but USC obviously can play their way into the Final Four. And I'm caught up in this. I've been very much enjoying USC, down the home stretch here with these wins. They're a fun team to cheer for. It's great to have them back in the conversation. Obviously, a ton of history there with college football. So nothing against Utah, but would love to see USC punch their ticket and give us a fun matchup for in the Final Four there. But that's fair. A less exciting story, at least for me and Vaughn, I think as well, is TCU's run to Big 12 glory. In my opinion, Big 12 is having a little bit of a down year, maybe a lot of a down year. But TCU has managed to come through completely unscathed. A couple of very, very, plucky wins for this team. And now they take on a Kansas State team where they are still only laying 2.5 in a game where, they're up against a team that they beat pretty decisively in the regular season. I think for just for like the long arc, because I know I'm going to fade TCU in the Final Four, regardless of opponent and price. I'd like to see them get a win and a cover here. Like let's see them get like a really convincing win so that the market overreacts a little bit and makes that price that much shorter to fade them in the next round. But what is your read on the current state of TCU? Am I overreacting just out of kind of personal bias against this team because I've lost so much money trying to catch that loss?
Oh, no, I like that theory. This is advanced game theory from Drew Dinsick 101 here, because I feel the exact same way. It's been a charmed life. The Horned Frogs have been leading. But to get into their previous matchup, I did want to talk about that a little bit, because in terms of handled them easily, there was a tale of two games and a tale of two halves there. First off, last game with Kansas State, you have to remember, Adrian Martinez coming into that game started the game. He threw exactly 2 passes for 7 yards and was promptly knocked out by TCU, which necessitated Will Howard, who will be starting this game and has started every game since then, to come in and try to right the ship. So Howard hadn't taken a snap all year long before coming in against TCU in a big spot. I mean, that was a monster spot. Howard performed pretty darn well. Kansas State was actually up 28-10 in the first half. Howard was out there slinging. He's a better passer than Adrian Martinez. I mean that in a sincere, objective sense. This isn't debatable. He's a better thrower than him. Keep in mind, Will Howard in 2020, during the pandemic-shortened season, Skylar Thompson got hurt, who now actually had a start for the Miami Dolphins. So he came in there and started the entire 2020 pandemic season. It was pretty darn good. Obviously, when they brought in Adrian Martinez, Skylar Thompson came back in 2021. Adrian Martinez transfers in this year, so he didn't get the reps. But since then, Howard did pretty darn well in that game. The second half, it wasn't exactly his fault either. You have to remember, there was 2 missed field goals in that second half by Kansas State. There was 2 interceptions. One of them was thrown by Jake Radley, the third-string quarterback who came in for a series. I don't know why they brought him in for a series, but he threw 1 pass, and it was an interception, which promptly went back and was taken, subsequently by TCU for a score. So there's a lot of moving parts in that first game that really worked against Kansas State and for TCU. But that's why, I guess I'm looking at it now and saying, all right, we have Will Howard, who has clearly gotten his reps. He's gotten the starters reps for a full month. He's looked much, much better in that time frame. Despite the changeover, they only lost by 10 points. That's because they rattled off 28 points for TCU in the second half. I just think that this is a case where I can't not, in good conscience, take TCU after all those things went wrong for Kansas State, and they were still up 18 points going on. Everything's gone right for TCU. Everything went wrong for Kansas State. Preseason, I actually took Kansas State to win the Big 12 at minus 1,500, the 1,500 juice. I'm sticking with it. I'm on it. I'm going with my preseason read, and I'm taking the Wildcats.
I hope you didn't lay 1,500 on the. Okay, you took plus.
No. I took it. Thank you. Listen to me.
Eric would be freaking out on Saturday if that was the case.
I'm buying out of that.
I knew what you meant. I remember that actually. I knew what you meant. Yeah. Give you credit. You have 15-1 in pocket for Kansas State. That's a lot better than the current money line of plus 115.
Yeah.
So
that's a great look. I remember
maybe
you
a hedge
talked about
spot,
that.
but I'm feeling good. Right.
Yeah, that's an easy hedge spot for you. And we talked about that early in the season, how like the Big 12 was up for grabs. You might as well take the teams that are, 10-1 or better. Eric, I hope you follow me and you got that North Texas 18-1. We're praying on that this weekend, but
I'm
praying on playing. Back to Kansas State though. I faded them against Kansas, Oklahoma State, Texas, Baylor, and then we both faded them against Iowa State, and that was the most embarrassing thing handicapper could have did last week. But I do love this Kansas State matchup a lot more. And just going back the last 46 times in a conference championship that we've seen a team play each other a second time and they've lost the first time around, guess what? 23-23 against the spread. Not much of an effort at all saying it's hard to beat someone twice, but 31 of those 46 teams, 67% did increase their scoring margin by 8 points on average. So it's not a bad idea to be looking at Kansas State in this position. That's the side that I'll probably be on. But if you guys want more of that, college football fans, come on, baby. Saturday, last minute bidding inside 11 a.m. to noon Eastern on the NBC Sports YouTube channel. If you like what Eric Froton's saying, he'll be there. If you like what I'm saying, I'll be there. Brad Thomas will also be there hosting the whole thing. So make sure you guys stop by on Saturday and check us out. Plenty of bets to get by. So we talked the two big games. Let's go to the SEC one because this is the one I'm absolutely not betting, Eric. I'm going to need your opinion. Okay. Georgia's laying 17.5. I know the Sharps already hopped on Georgia when it opened around the 14.5 number. LSU, Jaden Daniels, this whole team's looked so much better since week one. But I don't know if I can take them against Georgia. But what is Georgia playing for here? Because they're already solidified as the number one seed. So what's your take?
Yeah, salient points on all fronts. Yeah, keep in mind, too, Jaden Daniels has been walking around in a boot. And when it comes to LSU and what they want to do, they're not a great passing team by any metric. They want to run the ball, okay? And a big part of that rushing attack has been the ability of Jaden Daniels to make plays out of structure, to scramble, to be able to run the RPO game with them. And that's vital because they're missing their starting running back, Josh Williams. So they will be, kind of down the trough when it comes to that. But this is the 18th ranked rushing offense in the country. This is the 66th ranked passing offense, okay? While LSU is explosive, 15th in EPA per play, 51% in terms of success rate. We're now playing the Georgia defense that, as we all know, third ranked defense overall. The numbers are absolutely insane. First in points per drive, top 3 in yards per play, 33% success rate against, 5th in EPA. It's just they smother teams and shorten games. And I really think that's kind of what we're going to see here because, as you mentioned, Georgia just wants to get out of here. They want to put LSU down, get out. I really like the over in the first half of these 30 points. I think because if you look at Georgia, 22 points per game they're averaging in the first half, 12 points per game in the second half as they salt games away. I think you see Kenny McIntosh, who's their lead running back. He's at 62.5 rushing yards. I think he's going to get plenty of work in that second half as they do salt this game away. I can't possibly see LSU being able to mount consistent drives and being able to go 10, 12 plays all the way down the field against the Georgia team with their best player, Jaden Daniels, is already banged up coming in the game. If you take away that scrambling ability, that elusiveness of Daniels to make plays out of structure, I think it's kneecaps this offense. I expect a blowout from Georgia. They will be winning this game. I like the over in the first half because I think it slows down in the second.
It's a low total too. It's only I just pulled it up just to double check. It's sitting at 26 flat.
26. Okay, wow. That's
26 points in the first half for a Georgia football game.
Georgia's almost doing that by themselves every first half, with 22. If you just get a field goal out of LSU, that's all we need.
Why not lay 10 with Georgia in the first half?
Why not lay 10? Great
Because
point.
because I feel like if you bet the first half over, you're kind of sweating LSU scoring a point, right?
Yes, we are a little bit, aren't we? We're needing one. We need one. Right.
Okay.
Good point.
Okay. So, that's interesting. I mean, and we're well past the point where we can audible Alabama into this game, right?
I think we're out. We're out. Yes.
Damn. All right. Well, anyway, I'll tune in regardless. Let's go. I'm going to play some Georgia first half. I liked your breakdown there, and I do like, just in general, the idea of a absolutely monstrous, hyped up defense going up against a limping quarterback in the whose mobility will be tested in the first half of this game. Purdue takes on Michigan in the Big Ten championship game. I don't think they can play spoiler here. Pretty sure Michigan's going regardless of the outcome. But it's just, we're looking at a 17-point spread here. That's a lot for, teams that tend to, keep it close, keep it lower scoring. We're not looking at a huge total here in this game, at least by college football standards. This is being contested at Lucas Oil Stadium, so we're in a dome. 52 is our total. 17, as I mentioned, is the current spread. Little bit of influential money coming in on Purdue, pushing this down to 16.5. I know 17 is not a super key number, but it does, 2 touchdowns and a field goal. So is there a case to be made here to back the underdog Boilermakers to keep this one competitive?
Well, gosh, interestingly, in their game against Ohio State last week, Ohio State had a 51% success rate to Michigan's 38%, but it didn't really matter in terms of their efficiency because Michigan went out and hit home runs. I mean, in a couple of cases, some grand slams when it came to that second half with Donovan Edwards hitting back-to-back 70-yard touchdown runs. Yeah. So that Joe Moore award-winning offensive line from last year is also a contender again this year. Will be controlling the line of scrimmage, but I don't think it's reasonable to expect Blake Corum to be able to perform in this game after we saw his leg wrapped up. His left leg was wrapped up like the mummy, and he got 2 carries and quickly bounced out of that game. It's not going to make any sense for them to play him. Purdue will have Devin Mockabee back. He got concussed 2 games ago. He was back. I mean, he's been running the ball extremely effectively, which will allow Purdue to at least not be as one-dimensional as they had been in years past. Aiden O'Connell had, unfortunately, a family tragedy. His brother died last week, and will be playing, obviously, with a heavy heart. He was actually originally listed at 274.5 passing. That's down to 234.5 right now on DraftKings. That was a major middle opportunity and a serious misprice on PrizePicks' side. As you mentioned with Michigan, it's a similar thing that I look at with Georgia, as we discussed, where they want to win, they want to get healthy, and they want to move on to the CFP because it's lock, stock, smoke and barrel. They're in, and there's no way that they're going to be stopped as long as they just go and get this game in. I do like the under in this spot because of some of the factors that we talked about. I know it's only at 51.5, or at least it was. Sure what's that now, but I do think Purdue will have the ability to slow this game down enough where I do think they can hang around a little bit. Maybe I'm a little bit bullish on the Boilermakers' ability to play spoiler, but given game script, I think they can hang within. That's
the Spoilermakers.
That's what they do.
Let's go.
I like it. I want to get your opinion, Eric, on Purdue's team total. It's sitting at 17.5 plus 100. Or plus 110 to the over. I mean, that's a number they hit all the time. And you look at what Michigan's done this year. I mean, a couple teams put up 17 on them. A couple teams put up 23. Maryland put up 27 or whatever. If Aiden O'Connell is going to play, we saw how he played against Indiana with a heavy heart. If he plays emotionally and inspired against Michigan, I feel like that passing total is too low. Maybe the team total might be worth a look for plus money. Any opinion on that and any other player props you might be looking at for Friday or Saturday's big slate?
Yeah, actually, I like Charlie Jones, wide receiver for Purdue. Last week, they hit a dramatic double over. I had Aiden O'Connell's over at 275. You did too. We had Charlie Jones, his over, and they both hit with Charlie Jones streaking bare naked down the seam on a 75-yard connection. I really appreciated that because if it weren't for that, that was the last play of the game in the fourth quarter. That was actually a relevant play. he doesn't hit that, neither of them hit the over. So that was another factor I was looking at for this. I like Jones's under. He started at 91.5. He ended up going down. He's around 83.5 right now. The previous 2 games, as opposed to last week, he didn't hit that number. And again, it took, just a complete total blown coverage on the last relevant play of the game in order to hit it last time. I just think with Michigan's secondary, with the way they are looking to shorten the game, I see the under script. It's kind of how I'm feeling about it. I think it's going to be a very, very tough for Purdue to be mounting any sort of a consistent drive. We see that in the under with 235.5, as mentioned with O'Connell. So I'm going to back the under on Jones as well, 83.5.
Okay, I like it, man. All solid looks. Any game we didn't talk about? Any look on the board? Jackson State going to send Deion Sanders off with an undefeated regular season here and a SWAC title. What's your best look on the board that we haven't talked about?
Well, with all due respect to Coach Prime and his future FBS gig, wherever that may be, we've heard a few rumors. Maybe it's UCF. I actually I'm going to go to the Alamo Dome. We're going to Vaughn's place of residence here. I know he lives in Connecticut, but he really resides in North Texas. Everybody knows this. So what I do like that's a particular prop, Austin Oney, quarterback for North Texas, is currently listed at 217.5 on DraftKings. You can get it at 226.5 if you want to go under. I personally don't on FanDuel. However, we saw him last game. He threw for 325 yards against UTSA. This was a straight up barn burner last game. Straight up. And when it comes to what North Texas has been doing, their running backs have been banged up. Their best guys. Their top 2 guys out. They'll be playing a freshman, at the running back position. Hope maybe Isaiah Ragsdale plays. We don't really know how that's going to look. And they're a run-based team. Ordinarily, they want to be able to impose their will on you. Last game was an absolute overfest between these 2 teams. I think we're going to get another one that's an overfest. I think at 217.5, where the game script is going to have North Texas throwing, get it 217.5. You're asking for it there. I also like Kavorian Barnes, running back for UTSA. Okay, he's at 71.5. Their other running back, they have a 2-headed system. Brendan Brady is out. It is the Kavorian Barnes show, period. Okay? That's all that's happening. Their quarterback, Frank Harris, is banged up. His legs, he dinged him up. He will be throwing. He will not be running as much as he used to. I think it's the Kavorian Barnes show. I love that over on him.
71.
I love that. I played Austin Oney to the over, so I am all on that, my guy. I did not know it moved 10 yards already, but that is in our favor. We'll leave you with this on the North Texas talk. Underdogs that have failed to cover multiple games in a row entering a conference championship are 19-4 ATS in the last 23. That's an 82.6%. And they've improved their scoring margin by 10.9 points. The only trend that applies to this weekend, 1 North Carolina Tar Heels, 1 North Texas Mean Green. Give me the Mean Green, ladies and gentlemen. So if you like what you heard, Eric, we appreciate you. Make sure you guys follow him on Twitter at CFF Froton. The guy is going to be joining us Saturday morning, 11 a.m. to noon. Best college football capper we have. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you download the RotoWorld app, NBC Sports EDGE app, to receive breaking player news all season long. You could favor your players on your roster, get those injury updates, get those players' news delivered right to your phone. It's available in the App Store today, and we know fantasy football's playoff season is upon us. Best of luck. I'm making 1 playoff league out of 4, so let's not talk about fantasy football. Bills laying 3.5 on the road in Foxborough at the Patriots, over understand at 43.5. We've seen the unders in primetime, Drew. Complete money makers. They were 20-11, but the past 6 primetime games, 6-0 to the over. Now we have Josh Allen. Now we have Mac Jones. Are we going to the over, my friend?
I think the over is the look here or pass. It has been one-way action, by the way, in the market in favor of the New England Patriots. It has been all season long. The market has just been absolutely in love with the Buffalo Bills. They have been the darlings of the betting, just in general, the betting market makers. Not this week. this is down. We thought I thought maybe you might get 6 on the open. It opened 5.5, and I was like, I guess I'm not going to get my New England +6. I'm not going to get New England +4. This is down to 3.5 now, and it is trending, to close in that ballpark. And that's shocking because Buffalo handled New England very, very comfortably last time out. Of course, a memorable playoff matchup that was one-way traffic Buffalo. And I think in general, this is a decent opportunity for New England to answer a little bit. You have Mac Jones playing much more confidently of late. His last time out on the primetime Thanksgiving game against the Minnesota Vikings, he was a different quarterback than what we saw in the first frame of the season. And I think he can carry some of that success into this contest where he's going up against the Bills defense that's lacking a little bit of pop right now at pass rush, considering some of the injuries they sustained. And is still trying to incorporate some of their players off of injury in the secondary. So they look to be a bit susceptible. New England may have a perfectly balanced attack here with Ramondre Stevenson having the backfield to himself in the absence of Damian Harris. And I think with a New England offensive line that can get pressure, that is blocking extremely well in the run game, that New England's going to be able to find their points in this one. I make the median team total for New England 23. I make the median team total for Buffalo 26. So this is a low number for me compared to market. Over would be the play or pass, as we talked about. But I think I'm going to circle New England's team total over specifically, just in case New England has some wrinkles in their back pocket to really frustrate Josh Allen in this contest. Third game in a row in the road for Buffalo here. And in general, Josh Allen has been weirdly taking points off the board for the Bills with some of his red zone shenanigans so far this season. So a little bit of a decent matchup here for the Patriots from a passing standpoint. Although, of course, the Achilles heel for the Pats defense and really Bill Belichick in his tenure has been the running quarterback. So that's in the back of my head. That's the only reason I'm not getting more heavily involved here in New England. But over for me is the play of the night.
I like that a lot. That's the way I'm leaning too. I like Josh Allen's look on rushing yards, as you just said, because Patriots can't struggle with that. Sitting at 42.5 for him, it's getting juiced now, looking like it's going to go up to like 44, 45.5.
Wow. And
I think the reason why the total's been coming down is, one, it's an outdoor game now. It's in New England. It's going to be cold. It's looking like 26 to 30 with the type of field temperature-wise, and some wind gusts between like 10 and 20. We could have higher around kickoff, but it will go down as the night goes. So I'm kind of looking at that over in general. I think the Patriots are live to win this game. The Bills, as you said, struggling to cover spreads on the road. They're on the road once again. They're 1-4 ATS in their last 5 games. 1-4 ATS on the road this season. Only cover against the Kansas City Chiefs at Arrowhead. But also that was like a 1-point spread. So I like the Patriots. I like the over. I can get down with the team total. Are there any player props or any other looks for tonight's slate that you're looking at before we get out of here?
I haven't played any. I usually ask Jay that. I just tell Jay on those. Player prop handicapping is tough, man. It's gotten to be a much sharper market, a lot more liquidity there. But
thank you for saying that.
Yeah. I think, I think if you want to kind of expect Mac Jones to continue to perform to the good, I think that's sort of the angle of attack I would look for.
Yeah, I do want to note too, he hasn't thrown an interception in 3 straight games. Under 1 interception for Mac Jones is +110 still. So you're getting value on both Josh Allen and Mac Jones actually today to not throw an interception. Don't hate that as much. If it is going to be a little windy, we could see more running backs getting involved here. So let's do that. Let's do the little Mac Jones no interceptions against the Bills. So we'll really sweat that one out.
Yeah, I think so.
You guys want some more tonight? Make sure you join us Thursday night football on the NFL on NBC Sports YouTube channel. DFS, fantasy advice, and betting advice from Kyle Dvorak, Lawrence Jackson, and myself. Again, 7 a.m. Eastern, NFL on NBC Sports YouTube channel, Bills and Pats. So we appreciate everyone for watching us today. It was Drew Dinsick, it was Vaughn Dalzell, it was Eric Froton, a cast, if I got to say. Don't forget to check out NBCSportsEdge.com for more info to help you guys out with your wagers. Thanks for everyone watching live on our YouTube channel and listening on podcast form. Don't forget to subscribe, rate us, follow us. See you guys tomorrow.